Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully more people will be able to join us. I want to thank you for another wonderful day, and thank you for joining me for Wisdom Wednesdays with Coach Wendy. It's my desire that I will be able to provide just a little bit of tidbits, some pearls of wisdom to help us along our journey. A lot of people are struggling and suffering right now, and we're all trying to figure out how we're going to get through this. How can we make a difference? How can I do wonderful things while staying inside while we're still mandated to stay at home? And how can I make a difference? Well, there's two words I want to share today. My two words today are equity and equality. Now, these two words, they sound very, very similar, but they're actually different. Let's start with equity. Equity is when we give everybody exactly what they need in order to compete, to stay in the game, in order to be able to get ahead. So it's about giving them what they need. So let's look at a little scenario. Let's look at an example. Let's imagine we have three individuals that are all standing in front of a fence, and they need to look over that fence. And one of our individuals, they are tall. Let's say one's tall, one's medium, and one's short. So would it be equitable if we gave everybody the same thing? So let's say they needed a little stepping stool in order to see over this fence. We wouldn't need to necessarily give our tall person a step to step on because they can already see over the fence. And then let's say we have somebody who's of medium size. Well, they may need one step in order to see over that fence. And then we have the short person. Well, that person may need 2 or 3 steps in order to see over the fence. So when we're talking about equity, we're talking about giving people what they need. So the tall person, no step. The medium-sized person, maybe 1 or 2 steps. And then the small person, the short person, needs 3 steps in order to see over that fence and be able to compete, in order to even be in the game. Forget about even trying to win it first, just to get in the game. Now, equality is where we just give everybody the same thing. So if we gave everybody, let's say these 3 individuals, all 1 step, it's not going to be equitable because now the tall person is still taller and they're seeing over the fence. And then the medium person, they may be able to barely see over the fence. And the short guy, he's still stuck. He can't see over the fence at all. So when we're talking about equity and equality, they're 2 different things, but we may need both in order to make it ahead. Now you might say, what does this have to do with COVID-19 if we're trying to deal with some of the things? Well, COVID-19 did not start inequity. It revealed inequity. It shed a light on inequity because, as most of us know, we've been reading and hearing about that there is a larger number of African Americans that are dying right now from this disease, this epidemic. And it's not because COVID-19 started out racist or anything like that. It's because of the inequities that already existed in our communities. And so what we need to find out and figure out, what can we do about that? Now, what's interesting, it's also been a domino effect because the inequities that have come out from COVID-19 with healthcare and with health disparities, because so many people in our community also have high blood pressure, diabetes, or even high cholesterol or other issues that are affecting them if they do get this disease. But it's also affecting, say, our youth. Let's look at our children that now have to stay at home to go to school. Well, what about the kid who doesn't have a computer at home? And so now there's another inequity. They're at home trying to do their lessons, but they don't even have a computer or access to a computer because they have to stay at home. So let's think about something else as relates to inequities. What about the small businesses that are not able to even get the PPP loans? Why? Inequities. They may not have access to some of the same resources. They may not have access to the same opportunities to get the loans for various reasons. So what we need to do is we need to stop and think about, what can we do as individuals right where we are in our homes to make a difference between equality and equity. So let's look at equity and how each of us can make a difference and how we can possibly even do something right from our own homes. So number 1, if we know that there's something that we can do as relates to contacting our political leaders, we could write a letter. We could say, hey, we need to have improvement within our healthcare systems. We need to have improvement within our schools to provide the adequate information for our kids to get the right education. Number two, the other thing that we could do is we could support a small business. Let's say a restaurant. There are so many small restaurants that they're barely holding on to try to stay in business. We can order takeout. We can run by and pick up something. All these other big ones are getting all the money. They're going to be around after all this is over. If we don't pour the money back into our own communities, a lot of places that we took for granted before COVID-19 are not going to be here. So we have to figure out how are we going to support them. Number three, the third way that you could possibly do something and make a difference would be, hey, do you know someone that you could help get a computer to a child? If you don't know any children specifically that need a computer in order to stay on top of things for school, there may be organizations out there. I know there's organizations out there that are trying to help kids, especially kids within the inner city, our kids stay in the game so that they have equity and being able to compete later. So if you don't know of a kid, find an organization that's doing something. And even if you can only send $20, you'd be surprised if all of us sent $20, what difference that would make. So my charge to you is to make a commitment this week to find a way how you can contribute to making things more equitable in our community. Write a letter. Support a small business, help a child some kind of way, stay in the game with their education, but make it a point that you're going to do something. And if you don't know where to go, what to do, drop me a message. I'll help you out. I'll help you figure out how can we make a difference. So in closing, I want to leave you with two quotes. So I'm going to read you two quotes that I found this week that I thought were amazing that would tie into this subject. The first one is from Benjamin Franklin, and it says, "Justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are just as outraged as those that were affected." So that means, like, if you feel like you're not affected by this, hey, you better do something. You better make a difference, because eventually it's going to fall in your lap and in your yard and in your house as well. The second quote I want to leave you with is, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." And that is by James Baldwin. So what commitment are you going to make today? What commitment are you going to do to make a difference and help face some things that need change? I'm Wendy. I'm glad that you joined us today for Wisdom Wednesdays with Coach Wendy. Please join me again next week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to find me at seasonofgreatness.com or wendygladney.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.